In the silent depths of the Aegean Sea rests the HMHS Britannic, a sister ship of the Titanic, grand, luxurious, and tragically short-lived. Once a symbol of human ambition and naval engineering, she now lies broken and forgotten, slowly surrendering to the ocean's relentless grip. What caused this mighty ship to meet her tragic end? Join us into the depths and uncover the story of the Britannic, a story of design, disaster, and the unstoppable force of nature. November 21st, 1916. The world was at war, and the Britannic had been repurposed as a hospital ship, carrying the wounded and the hope of safety across the Mediterranean. But tragedy struck. A massive explosion tore through her hull. Within just 55 minutes, the great vessel sank, claiming the lives of 30 souls. Over a century later, the Britannic rests on the seafloor near the Greek island of Kea, her steel skeleton partially intact, partially collapsing into the abyss. Unlike her sister Titanic, the Britannic was designed with stronger bulkheads, wider watertight compartments, and more lifeboats. The Britannic had her keel laid in Belfast on November 30th, 1911, on the same slipway as her sister ship Olympic, saving the shipyard both time and money by avoiding the need to clear a new slip. During construction, modifications were made in response to the Titanic disaster, which delayed her completion. Although officially denied at the time, some sources claim that the Britannic was originally to be named Gigantic, but her name was changed to avoid comparisons with the Titanic. Evidence for this includes a contemporary poster showing the ship as Gigantic. Additional support comes from the Hingley Archives near Birmingham, which contain a chain and anchor book listing the ship as Gigantic under order number 433, later crossed out and replaced with Britannic. The listing was dated February 20th, 1912, several months before the name Britannic was officially announced, suggesting that the name Gigantic was at least considered internally. Despite this early uncertainty over her name, the RMS Britannic was eventually completed and finally launched on February 26, 1914, an event that attracted significant press coverage and was even filmed. Shortly afterward, World War I broke out. The Britannic was then repainted white with large red crosses along her hull and a green stripe running its length, renamed HMHS Britannic, short for His Majesty's Hospital Ship, and placed under the command of Captain Charles Alfred Bartlett. Inside, she was transformed into a fully equipped hospital ship, with more than 3,300 beds and multiple operating rooms. After months of preparation and service, the ship had proven herself a vital lifeline for countless wounded soldiers. After completing 5 successful voyages between the Middle East and the United Kingdom, carrying thousands of sick and wounded, the Britannic was preparing once again for service. On 12th of November 1916, she departed Southampton on what would become her 6th and final voyage to the Mediterranean. On board were 1,066 souls, 673 crew members, 315 men of the Royal Army Medical Corps, 77 nurses, and Captain Bartlett himself. She passed through Gibraltar around midnight on 15th of November, reaching Naples on the morning of the 17th for her usual stop to take on coal and water. A storm delayed her departure, but by Sunday afternoon, Captain Bartlett chose to take advantage of a brief break in the weather, allowing her to pass safely through the Strait of Messina. In the early hours of 21st November, she navigated around Cape Matapan, and by morning the great ship was steaming at full speed into the Key Channel. But then, at 08:12, a violent explosion ripped through her forward section. Water surged in, the bow began to sink, and within minutes, it was clear the Britannic was mortally wounded. Captain Bartlett tried to beach her on the shores of Kea, but the flooding was too fast. Less than an hour after the blast, the largest ship in the world rolled onto her starboard side and slipped beneath the surface of the Aegean. Among the survivors was an extraordinary woman, Violet Jessop. As a young stewardess, she had survived the Titanic disaster in 1912, and she later served as a nurse for the Red Cross aboard the Britannic, caring for wounded soldiers during World War I. When the mine tore through the hull, Violet assisted patients and crew as the ship began to sink. She then jumped into a lifeboat to save herself, narrowly escaping additional dangers as the evacuation descended into chaos. Despite the harrowing circumstances, she survived the disaster and reached safety. Remarkably, Violet had also worked aboard the Olympic, the oldest sister ship, when it collided with a warship in 1911. Surviving all three catastrophic incidents of the Olympic-class ships, she earned her nickname, the unsinkable Violet Jessup. Beyond her survival, Violet later recounted her experiences in her memoir, Titanic Survivor, offering a rare first-hand glimpse into the human side of these maritime tragedies. Her calmness, courage, and dedication make her story a testament to resilience and a deeply human thread woven through the history of these ships. For many years, the cause of the explosion was unknown. Some reports at the time spoke of the track of a torpedo being seen just before the blast, fueling speculation that the Britannic had been deliberately targeted. Theories of sabotage and enemy attack persisted for decades, adding to the mystery surrounding her loss. Yet modern dives on the wreck have revealed remnants of a mine on the seabed, evidence that the ship almost certainly struck a mine tethered below the surface, most likely laid by the German submarine U-73 only weeks earlier. Historical records show that these moored contact mines had been placed in the Key Channel just weeks before the Britannic's voyage. These mines, anchored to the seabed, were designed to detonate upon contact with a ship. The Britannic was not the only ship likely struck by the deadly mines laid by U-73. Just days earlier, the French cruiser Beurre de Gala had sunk near Kea on November 14, 1916, while the British hospital ship HMHS Braemar Castle likely struck a mine also laid by U-73 in the Mykone Channel on November 23. Though the Braemar Castle was damaged and 4 lives were lost, she was successfully beached and later repaired, continuing her service as a hospital ship. Amid these wartime losses, the Britannic now rests in silence, her massive steel hull lying on the seabed. Discovered by Jacques Cousteau in 1975, the wreck lies on her starboard side nearly 400 feet below the surface. Remarkably well preserved, the Britannic conceals the massive gash torn open by the mine, while her forecastle machinery, cranes, and even the crow's nest still rise from the seabed. Over the decades, expeditions have captured her in extraordinary detail. Twisted passageways, flooded cabins, and ghostly decks frozen in time. Advanced dives have revealed her watertight doors, operating theaters, and the very spaces where nurses once worked tirelessly to save lives. Later explorations uncovered even more of her secrets. The bell, thought lost for over a century, was found beneath the fallen crow's nest. Her funnels were discovered scattered across the seabed, and traces of coal spilled in her final moments still lie beside her broken hull. Each new dive adds to the eerie picture of a ship both hospital and grave, preserved in silence beneath the Aegean Sea. Yet with every expedition, new fragments of her story emerge, a vessel built for luxury and safety transformed by war, and ultimately claimed by the sea. Modern technology allows us to recreate her digitally, safeguarding her memory even as the ocean slowly wears her away. Today, the Britannic rests remarkably well preserved, largely shielded by coral and marine growth that dampen corrosive forces. Unlike her sister ship Titanic, she exhibits little to no rustical formation, and Halomonas titanicae has not been confirmed as a factor in her decay. While the Titanic's deteriorating shell was hastened by iron-eating bacteria, the Britannic remains far more intact, its steel slowly succumbing to time rather than microbial consumption. Britannic's legacy may be quieter than Titanic's, but it is no less powerful. She stands as a testament to human ambition, wartime sacrifice, and the unforgiving power of nature. Though most of her passengers and crew survived, her story is a stark reminder that even the mightiest engineering cannot always defy fate. Beneath the waves, Britannic endures, a haunting monument to courage, tragedy, and history, waiting for those bold enough to dive into her depths. Subscribe to Archive of the Deep and descend with us again into the silent, haunting stories that lie just beneath the waves.